I have seen a ton of wild bat flips over the course of my lifetime. Some of my favorite, the Jose Bautista bat flip. We have the Bryce Harper bat flip and his return to DC. But this one from Brett Phillips, we'll talk about it more in depth later. I mean, honestly, it's top 5 for me. This was wild. What's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. If this is your first time on the channel, we do this every single day, so don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, as well as save yourself 20 bucks off using code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any baseball games anytime soon. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is back in front for the home run lead. Jared Kelenic might have had his best game as a big leaguer, and the Yankees and the Red Sox, they desperately need W's. Did they get them? We'll have to see. Let's go ahead and talk about the walk-off victories from yesterday before we talk about the wild card races. The Astros faced off against the Diamondbacks. Cole Calhoun, he hit a home run in his first game back from the IL after missing the last month. Madison Bumgarner took a no-hitter into the 6th inning, and Jose Altuve spoils it on his 28th home run of the year. Josh Van Meter, he drives an RBI in the 8th, he forces a tie, and eventually extra innings, where you have Peralta of the Diamondbacks taking the lead in the 10th, but then the Astros, they storm back on a Jake Myers RBI, and then Chas McCormick, he takes one for the team as they have a walk-off hit by pitch. The Rays versus the Tigers, the bad man, Akil Baddoo, now has 13 home runs and 14 stolen bases after having Tommy John surgery, never playing above A-ball. This guy has been incredible. Austin Meadows, he drives in his 100th RBI on a sac fly in the 1st. Detroit, they actually go up 4-1, and they're able to hold it into the 9th. But unfortunately for the Detroit bullpen, they tend to implode every so often. They immediately fall apart as Yandy and Randy, they team up to tie it up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Brandon Lau, he robs Akil Baddoo, and then later on in the game, we've already seen it because we hinted at it in the intro. Brett Phillips hits a walk-off pimp job. I mean, he knew this ball was gone off the bat, so the Rays, they beat the Tigers 7-4. But again, shout out to the Tigers. They have been playing very well against the Brewers and the Rays in back-to-back series. And last but not least, the Giants versus the Braves. If you take out a dictionary and look up the definition of roller coaster, you will see the box score of this game. Adam Duvall shows up with 2 RBIs in the 1st, and Brandon Belt belts a 2-run bomb as Brandon Crawford as well as Lamont Wade Jr., they both hit solo shots in the 2nd and the 4th inning. Tyler Rogers, he's going to have to fill in for Jake McGee, who is going on the IL. He implodes after being really good all of 2021. He allows a 3-run tater to Travis d'Arnaud. Donnie Barrels, Donovan Solano with 2 outs in his first plate appearance back after coming off the IL. He ties at the ball game. You have Steven Duggar making a grab in the 10th. And then the ace of the Giants, Kevin Gausman, comes in for a pinch hit at bat and wins the game on a sac fly. So the Giants, they take a 6-5 victory over the Braves. And anytime we talk about the Braves, we have to talk about the Phillies as well as the Mets. You have Freddie Galvis, his sac fly brings in the 1st run of the game. And then Javier Baez singles in Nimmo in the 4th off of former New York great, or legend, whatever you want to call him, Zach Wheeler. He goes 5 innings with 1 earned run, and then Bamboo Brad, 445 feet off the bat. Good Lord. You have Vierling driving in the 3rd run of the game right before Joe Girardi was tossed. Didi Gregorius made a special play at shortstop, and they had a little behind-the-back throw to Gene Segura, who looked like a first baseman. Didi then delivers in the 8th with his bat for the 4th run of the game for the Phillies. That was big because Conforto and Kevin Pillar, they both have RBI doubles in the 8th. Ian Kennedy comes in and gets the 3rd out of the 8th, and then he goes 1-2-3 in the 9th inning as the Phillies get a huge W, 4-3 over the New York Mets. A lot of Mets fans are saying that's it, the season is over. We'll talk about the standings in a moment. The Cardinals faced off against the Padres, one of the biggest series of the year. Both of these teams are going for that final spot in the wild card. Goldie knocks in Edman, and Tyler O'Neill cranks a 2-run shot for his 27th home run. Dylan Carlson had a big day. They have such a young, fun outfield between Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson, and Tyler O'Neill. Miles Michaelis, he tossed 5 2/3 shutout innings, only allowed 3 base hits. Now the Padres do score a few more in the 7th, but Carlson answers back with a grand slam, the 2nd of the season for him. He is the youngest Cardinal ever with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs in 1 game. A big-time W, just like the Phillies, as the Cardinals are on a 6-game winning streak. And the last but not least for the wild card race in the National League, the Reds faced off against the mighty Dodgers. Farmer kickstarts the 5th inning with a double, and Barnhart clutches up for the game's 1st run, and Luis Castillo was filthy yesterday. He knew that it was a big game and almost a must-win for the Reds, and he threw 6 shutout innings on 9 strikeouts, just pure filth. He gets rewarded with 2 more runs from Farmer, and then he actually goes into the 7th inning and gets his 10th strikeout of the day. The bullpen allows 1, but they end up getting the W. The Cardinals are 1 game ahead for 2nd place. You have the Reds and the Padres at 1 and 1.5 games back, and the Phillies, they're still fighting at 2.5 games back. Moving over to the American League, we have the Mariners versus the Royals, and look at Jared Kelenic doing special things right when he is needed. His biggest game as a big leaguer. In the first 4 innings of this game, he has 2 2-run blasts, and then you have Benny Biceps. Now, this was a non-factor, but I do want to shout him out because he now has 18 RBIs over his last 9 games after this base hit. Chris Flexen only allows 1 earned run in 5 2/3. Luis Torrens, he drives in the final run, and Castillo closes the door. But again, another big W for the Mariners as the A's won. So let's talk about that game right now. Josh Harrison, he drives an RBI in the first, and that was followed up by Matt Olson's sac fly. But the lead quickly evaporates as Kurt Suzuki goes yard, and David Fletcher brings home 2 to take a 4-2 lead. Josh Harrison has a sac fly later on in the game. He now has 10 RBIs in his last 6 games. Matt Chapman, he shows off the platinum defense, and Matt Olson shows off the gold glove defense by picking it. Seth Brown, he ties it in the 6th inning, and Mark Canha, he grabs the lead on a wild pitch. Starling Marte, he might have saved the game on this dart. He got an outfield assist in the 8th inning, and Sergio Romo, he collects yet another save. The Yankees, this might have been their easiest victory of the year. I watched this with my grandfather. I am now 0-3 when watching Cleveland games with my grandpa. So Gallo pulls a home run, Judge goes the other way for home run number 35, and Corey Kluber, he was Klubot yesterday. 6 shutout innings, only allowed 4 base hits. Oh, the memories. He was my favorite player back in the day. Now, ultimately, this was a slow game for the first 6, maybe 7 innings, but then New York, they speeded up for the final 3. Gio Urshela rips an RBI, and then Brett Gardner has a 3-run laser beam right before Giancarlo Stanton somehow hits this out, and Joey Gallo, they go back-to-back. Gallo now has 7 home runs and an 1171 OPS in his last 11 games. He's heating up at the right time, and the Yankees need Toronto to lose, so we'll talk about that after the Red Sox game, because the Red Sox, they showed up yesterday. Even though Austin Hayes, he's been playing very well. He has 12 home runs and an almost 800 OPS in the second half, but that's all she wrote for the Baltimore offense. Jose Iglesias has an RBI double in the second, and Kike Hernandez has a sac fly to get the lead, and Bobby Dahlbeck with his 23rd home run. He's just nutty what he has been able to do. Chris Sale did not look like normal Chris Sale, even though he was very much effective. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 earned run, didn't walk anyone, and only allowed 2 base hits, so that was really good. But he struck out 1 guy, so he was effective, but not as nasty as usual. JD makes it 4-1 in the 5th, and Hunter Renfroe has been so good in the second half. I think he's almost up to 45 RBIs in 50 second half games as he clears the bases, and the Red Sox, they win 7-1. The Twins versus the Jays. Minnesota smoked Toronto yesterday. Brent Roker, he doubles in Miguel Sano in the second, and the Twins, they keep the scoring up in the 3rd inning as Byron Buxton drives in an RBI, and Jorge Polanco with his 31st home run, he now has a 133 OPS plus. The guy has been a machine. Josh Donaldson, he returns to Toronto for a standing ovation, and boom goes the dynamite as Hyun-Jin Ryu was torched for 5 earned runs in 2 innings. Miguel Sano makes it 3 home runs in a row, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., let's talk about this real quick. With 46 home runs, he ties Joe DiMaggio as the 2nd most home runs ever hit by a 22-year-old. He is 1 away from Eddie Matthews. I hope that he breaks it. Brent, he muscles out another home run, and it was just bad timing as the Yankees and the Red Sox both win yesterday. So let's talk about the AL wildcard. The Yankees are back in the playoffs. The Jays are a half game back, as the A's are 2.5 games back, and the Mariners are 1 game back of them at 3.5 games back. All right, let's talk about the games that didn't really mean anything, but they were still fun to watch. The Brewers faced off against the Cubs, and Milwaukee, they found themselves in a 4-0 hole in the 4th inning when Yelich and Urias team up to cut it to 1. Then Frank the Tank gets 1 back, but so does Milwaukee. Urias drives in an RBI on a bases-loaded walk in the 5th inning, and Lorenzo Cain ties it up on a little blooper. Colton Wong, he singles in 2 more, and the Brewers cap off a 4-run 8th inning on a wild pitch as Josh Hader collects his 32nd save. The White Sox beat the Rangers in pretty easy fashion yesterday. Jose Abreu starts it off with a sac fly, and Rami Gonzalez makes it 2-0. Right before Luis rips a 3-run double in the 4th inning, Billy Hamilton scores all the way from first. Mr. Robert has 19 home runs and a 130 OPS plus to go along with the 4.7 WAR in his first 112 big league games. That is insane. Abreu and Jimenez, they make it 7-0 on 2 different doubles, and Dylan Cease was nutty yesterday. 10 strikeouts and 5 shutout innings. He now has 8 games games with 10 plus strikeouts. I think he's third in baseball. You have the Rockies versus the Nationals, another roller coaster game. The Rockies score 2 in the first, only to have Washington score 4 over the next 4 frames. Lane Thomas, he caps off these 6 runs for the Washington Nationals with a 3-run bomb. He's now batting .310 with 5 home runs and 22 RBIs in his first 30 games. But here comes Colorado. Brendan Rodgers hits a 2-run shot in the 6th. McMahon has an RBI single right before Sam Hilliard crushes a 440-foot bomb to take the lead. The Nationals, they scored 2 in the 8th to take a 1-run lead, but then Elias Diaz, he ties it up, and Rodgers, with his 3rd RBI, he reclaims the lead, and Estevez gets the save. The Rockies win 9-8. Another 1-run game, the Pirates versus the Marlins. They both trade runs in the 1st and the 2nd inning, and then Lewis Brinson, what a catch over in left field. Both starters were fantastic. Will Crowe, he has 5 strikeouts, only allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings, and Eliezer Hernandez, he got screwed yesterday by the Marlins defense. He goes 5 2/3, doesn't allow a single earned run, but he takes the L because Tucker drives an RBI in the 6th. The score is 2-1 going into the bottom of the 9th when Brian De La Cruz has a leadoff triple, so you're thinking the Marlins are definitely going to tie, if not win this game. Chris Stratton strikes out 3, and the game ends 2-1. The Pittsburgh Pirates, out of nowhere, are now 7-3 in their last 10 games. Good for them. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for today's MLB recap. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to use code Fuzzy to save yourself 20 bucks off on SeatGeek if you're going to any baseball games anytime soon. And enjoy this day in MLB history.
There you go. He struck him out. That's number 18. He got him. He ties his own record 10 years later from April